Hi, I'm David, 55, and I found out my only daughter got married from Facebook. Not from an invitation. Not from a phone call. From a filtered, beachy, best day ever post with 247 comments from strangers and not one word to the man who raised her alone. If you've ever stood in your kitchen on a Tuesday morning, coffee in hand, and watched 15 years of sacrifice get erased by a caption, you know the kind of quiet that follows. It isn't anger first. It's disbelief. Your brain actually tries to protect you. No, this must be an engagement shoot. No, maybe it's a friend's wedding. No, she wouldn't do that. She would. She did. Let me back up, because if I start at the Facebook photo, I sound like a bitter old man. If I start at the hospital, you'll understand. 15 years ago, my wife Sarah got in her car after a long shift and never came home. Semi on black ice, chain reaction, wrong place, wrong second. I still remember the smell in that ER hallway. Disinfectant and cold air. A nurse trying to be gentle. A doctor using words like instant, like that makes it better. I walked into a room and saw my wife under a sheet. I walked out of that room and became a single father. There wasn't a conversation. Nobody asked if I was ready. Life just shoved a kid into my arms and said, "Here. Don't drop her." Emily was 11. Big brown eyes, already smart, already sensitive. She didn't cry the way I expected her to. Kids don't always sob when their world ends. Sometimes they just go quiet. That first night, she sat on her bed holding her mom's scarf and kept asking when Mom was coming back, like death was a delayed flight. I sat on the floor beside her and said, "She's not coming back, kiddo." "But I am." That was it. That was the promise. No speech. No dramatic music. Just me deciding, in that moment, that every decision from then on would be about her. It wasn't pretty. I worked construction back then. Long jobs, early starts, winter roads. I'd get up at 4:30, pack her lunch, write dumb little notes like, "Good luck on math," even when there was no math test. After work I'd rush to the store, grab groceries, cook dinner half asleep, help with homework, then sit outside her room until she drifted off. Sometimes I'd fall asleep in the chair with my boots still on. I didn't date. Not because I became a monk. I just didn't have space to be anyone's boyfriend. I was a dad. I was the guy who braided hair badly, who showed up to parent-teacher conferences in dusty jeans, who clapped too loud at school talent shows. Other parents had partners. I had a thermos and a tired back. And Emily, she was worth every single piece of it. She wasn't wild, wasn't cruel, wasn't lazy. She was sharp. She liked science. She liked lining things up, making order. Sarah was like that. Calm, precise. Sometimes I'd walk in and see Emily sitting at the table with her head tilted the exact way Sarah did when she was thinking, and for half a second it was like someone punched me in the chest. When she hit high school, I pushed her. Not screaming, not, "You better be a doctor or you're out." I just didn't let her coast. "If you've got a good brain, use it," I used to tell her. "Don't waste your life trying to impress idiots." She'd roll her eyes and say, "Okay, Dad," but she listened. She always listened. College wasn't cheap. Dental school was worse. I worked overtime, picked up side jobs, sold my fishing boat, skipped vacations. You know how many birthdays I spent with a microwaved meal and a text from her saying, "Studying, love you." Dozens. And you know what? I was proud. I was proud of the girl who could say, "I can't come this weekend, I need to study." Because I knew what that would turn into. And it turned into exactly what I pictured. Graduation day, white coat, beaming smile, that stupid cap. Dr. Emily Carter. I can still hear it. I stood up before anyone else did. I cheered like a maniac. Afterwards, we took that photo, the one she posted. She hugged me so tight I could smell her shampoo. Caption: "Couldn't have done it without my dad." I screenshotted it. Still have it. I don't delete proof that I mattered. After that, I did something people say was too much. I don't care. I'd been saving for a little place by the lake. Instead, I bought her a house. 3 bedrooms, good neighborhood, big kitchen, $220,000, cash in my name. I gave her the keys in the driveway like I was a game show host. She cried. I cried. We ate pizza on the floor because we didn't have furniture yet. You're the best dad, she kept saying. I'll never forget this. You will, I thought, but I didn't say it. Not because I didn't trust her. Because I've seen life. Gratitude without friction stays. Gratitude with a new boyfriend, new job, new influences? It fades if you don't protect it. For the first year in that house, she was still my girl. Called almost every day. Dad, how do I unclog a sink? Dad, how do I know if the guy from the HOA is scamming me? Dad, can you come by and help me hang these shelves? We did Saturday dinners. Sometimes I'd bring over roast chicken, her mom's recipe. We'd watch old movies. She'd fall asleep on the couch. I'd cover her with a blanket like she was 14 again. Then the shift started. It wasn't a blow-up. It was a slow leak. First, dinners got rescheduled. Then calls became, "Hey, can I call you later?" And later never came. Then texts were just K or thumbs up. When she did come by, it was 30 minutes tops. Phone in hand. Half listening. Eyes on everything except me. I remember one night she sat at my table and said, "You use too much salt." Like she was a judge on a cooking show. Not, "Thank you." Not, "I missed this." Just a critique. I laughed it off. "Sorry, chef." But something in me tightened. I started driving past her house sometimes after work. Lights on. A car I didn't recognize in the driveway. Curtains closed. I'd sit there like an idiot, truck idling, thinking she's home. I'm paying the property taxes on a house I can't even knock on without texting first. I didn't knock. Pride is a weird thing. You can love someone so much you die for them and still refuse to ring a doorbell because it makes you feel like a burden. Then, Tuesday morning, 8:14 a.m. I'm at the kitchen table, coffee, laptop, news. I open Facebook like a reflex. There she is. Beach wedding. White dress. Hair done. Some guy, Marcus, I remembered him from a dinner once, kissing her. Friends I don't know in the background. Caption: Married my soulmate. Best day of my life. I just stared. The room got small. I refreshed the page like a clown, as if Facebook was going to pop up and say, "Oops. Wrong timeline. You were invited." Nothing changed. The likes kept going up. No tag for me. No. Wish Dad was here. No mention. I called. Straight to voicemail. I called again. Again. On the 6th ring, she finally picked up. "What?" she said. Irritated. Like I'd interrupted her manicure. "What?" I repeated. I could hear my own heartbeat. "You got married, Emily. You didn't tell me. You didn't invite me." Silence. Then a little sigh. Marcus didn't think it was a good idea. I nearly dropped the phone. Marcus? Yeah. He's my husband now. Why wouldn't it be a good idea to have your father at your wedding? Because you'd make it about you. She snapped. You always do. You always bring up everything you've done, all the money, all the sacrifices. Marcus said you'd do this. There it was. 3 words that ruin more father-daughter relationships than anything. Marcus said you. Marcus said what? I asked, voice low. He said you're controlling? That you use money to stay involved? That you think I owe you? I swallowed hard. Emily, I supported every decision you ever made. See? She shot back. You're doing it again. You think you own my life. No, I said. I think I raised you. Well, I didn't ask you to, she said, and that one? That one went straight through me. And Marcus doesn't want pathetic people at our wedding. The word echoed. Pathetic. Pathetic? I whispered. You really think that about me? I think you need to stop acting like my life revolves around you, she said. I'm married now. I don't need you involved in everything. She hung up. I sat there with the phone still to my ear, staring at the photo on my screen. My daughter in white. Some other family around her. And me, nowhere. 15 years of cooking, driving, paying, waking up at 2 a.m. to hold her hand through nightmares. 15 years of missing out on life because I was raising mine. 15 years of doing everything right. Erased by one man who's known her for 18 months? I didn't throw anything. Didn't punch a wall. I just sat in the silence and realized something awful. Death didn't take my wife. Life did. And life didn't take my daughter. She chose to walk. That was the day the switch flipped in me. Because if my daughter wanted to rewrite the story and make me the villain, the controlling, pathetic, overbearing dad who wouldn't let her live, fine. I could show her what life looked like when the villain stopped paying for the set. I didn't plan on hitting him. Let me say that first, because people always jump to. You shouldn't have hit him. You're right. I shouldn't have. I'm 55, not 25. I know better. But there's a very specific kind of disrespect that makes the room go red for a second, and it's when a man who didn't raise your kids stands in a doorway of a house you paid for and tells you you're not welcome. That's exactly what happened. I drove to Emily's place that afternoon. I didn't call, didn't text. I wasn't going over there to beg. I was going to look my daughter in the eye and say, "You did me dirty." Say it to my face. I pulled up to the curb and there were still remnants of that stupid beach wedding, flowers tied to the porch. Just married. Sign leaning on the wall. Like a Hallmark moment no one invited me to. I walked up and rang the bell. Door opened. Marcus. Barefoot. Joggers. That little smirk guys get when they think they've won ownership of your kid. He leaned on the frame like it was his house. "Oh, it's you," he said. "Didn't expect you to just drop by uninvited." Uninvited. To the house I bought. To see the girl I raised. "I need to talk to my daughter," I said. I kept my voice even. I didn't curse. I didn't shove. I just stated it like a fact. "She's busy," he shrugged. "Probably doesn't want to see you after yesterday." "Move," I said. That got him. His eyes narrowed. "Relax, man. Emily's not a little girl anymore. You need to stop hovering. Let her live her life." I stared at him. Not the way men stare when they want to fight. The way men stare when they're trying to figure out how someone this soft got this much influence. "I'm not here for your advice," I said. He laughed under his breath. "That's your problem. You think just because you're her dad, you'd get to control her forever." And right then, she appeared behind him. Emily. Hair tied back, robe on, ring on her finger. Not excited to see me. Not embarrassed she'd left me out. Just annoyed. "Dad, what are you doing here?" she said, arms crossing automatically like I was a salesman. "I came to talk to you," I said. "You got married without telling me. I at least deserve an explanation." "We already talked on the phone," she said. "No," I said. "You insulted me on the phone. That's not the same." Marcus chuckled. I snapped my eyes to him. "This doesn't concern you, Marcus. I'm talking to my daughter." He lifted his chin. "Everything about Emily concerns me now. I'm her husband." And she stepped a little closer to him. That hurt more than anything either of them said. "Is this really what you want?" I asked her. "A man who talks down to your father in a house he didn't pay for?" "You don't get it," she said, tone sharp, defensive. "You've always treated me like I'm still 11. Like I can't make decisions. I'm not her anymore. I'm not Mom either." That one hit. "What's that supposed to mean?" I asked slowly. She looked right at me, eyes hard. You've been trying to replace her with me since she died. It's creepy, Dad. You need to stop. And there it was. The script. The poison. The thing he'd been whispering to her. You're not honoring your mom, Em, you're being parentified. You're not close with your dad, he's obsessed. He's trying to own you. You think I see you as your mother? I said, voice low. You think I worked myself half to death for 15 years because I wanted a replacement? Marcus snorted. Here we go. I ignored him. I did it because you're my daughter. I said to her. Because your mother died and you had no one else. Because I wanted you to have a life. You always bring that up, she said. Dentist school, the house, the money. You act like I'm ungrateful. You are, I said. Right now you are. Marcus took a step forward. You need to leave. Or what? I asked. You gonna make me? That was it. That was the red. He puffed his chest like he actually lifted something heavier than her purse, stared at me and said, Don't test me, old man. I didn't think. I didn't wind up. I just let my fist do what 15 years of keeping quiet wouldn't. Crack. Right on the jaw. Not enough to break anything. Just enough to remind him there was a grown man in the room. He stumbled back into the doorframe, eyes wide, hand to his face. Dad! Emily screamed, rushing to him. He straightened, still trying to look tough. You're insane, he spat. You're welcome, I said. Now you know what it feels like when someone disrespects you in your own house. You need to leave, Dad, Emily said, planting herself between us. Right now. After everything I've done for you, this is who you defend? I asked, looking at her. Not angry yelling. Just stunned. I'm defending my husband, she said. You don't get to treat him like that. You ever have that moment where you realize the version of your kid you loved is gone? That's what that was. I looked at her, and I didn't see the 11-year-old clutching her mom's scarf. I saw a grown woman who'd chosen a man over the truth. You've changed, I said quietly. Maybe I finally grew up. She snapped. Marcus wiped the little streak of blood from his lip and smirked again. Guess the control freak couldn't handle losing. I stepped off the porch. You might have fooled her for now, Marcus, I said over my shoulder. But give it time. You'll trip over your own lies. I got in my truck. Hands shaking, adrenaline still high. When I caught my reflection in the rearview mirror, I barely recognized myself. Just a tired man in his 50s who'd spent half his life building a life for someone who just slammed the door on him. When I got home, I didn't pour a drink. I didn't rant on Facebook. I didn't call 10 people and complain. I sat down. I turned on the desk lamp. I opened a blank note on my computer. And I made a list. Not an emotional list. A financial one. House, deed in my name. Property tax, me. Home insurance, me. Car insurance, mine. Phone, on my plan. Health insurance, I pay. Clinic equipment, co-signed. Emergency fund account, joint, $30,000. Credit card backup, my card. Utilities, first year, I covered. Line after line of invisible support she didn't ask for, but sure liked having. I sat back and looked at it. 15 years I'd been acting like a husband and a father, and an ATM, and a safety net. And in one phone call some guy called me pathetic. My sister called right then. Carol. Good woman, but she's always been the keep the peace type. I talked to Emily, she said. She said you hit Marcus? He mouthed off in my doorway. I said. He earned it. She says you're not letting her live her life, Carol said carefully. Maybe you should just let her go a little. I laughed. Bitter. Let her go. Carol, I bought her house. I know, but maybe that's the problem, she said. You did too much. She needs to stand on her own. You know what? I said. You're right. She sounded relieved. Good. I'm glad you're seeing. No. I cut in. You're right in a different way. I am going to let her go. Completely. Silence. David, what are you going to do? You'll see. I said and hung up. Then I started cutting cords. First, the joint account. I logged in, transferred all $30,000 back to my personal account. Not stolen. My money. My deposits. That account existed because I made it. Balance on hers $0. Next, car insurance. Called the company. I need to remove a driver. Okay, sir, just so you're aware, if we remove Emily. That's what I'm aware of. I said. Remove her. Next, her phone. Removed her line from my plan. Next, her health insurance. Cancelled the standalone policy I'd been paying for. Until her practice grows. Next, the clinic loan. Called the lender. Do not charge my account again. Bill her directly. I am no longer guaranteeing ongoing payments. Sir, that may create a balance due. Then she can pay it. I said. By the time I was done, her adult independence finally matched her adult attitude. Then I picked up the house file. That one hurt. I pulled out the deed. My name. Not ours. Not gifted. Mine. I called Patricia, my realtor. I need to list the property. Oh, selling yours finally? She said, cheerful. No. I said. The one on Willow. She went quiet. David, that's Emily's. It's mine. I said. List it. Tomorrow. Market value. Did something happen? Patricia. I said. Just list it. She sighed. Okay. I'll send the forms. I didn't do it to make her homeless. The listing would take a bit. The sale would take longer. She'd have time to move. I wasn't throwing her on the street. I was reminding her which direction generosity was flowing. I sent her a text after I was done. You said you wanted independence. Now you have it. Take care of yourself. No cursing. No threats. Just the truth. That piece? It lasted 48 hours. On day 3, county envelope. Marcus had filed a civil harassment/emotional distress claim over an unprovoked assault. Attached, photo of his jaw, slightly bruised. Looked like a man who's never been in an actual fight in his life. I called the clerk. This is civil, right? Yes, sir. He's asking for monetary compensation. Got it, I said. That night, headlights in my driveway. Emily's car. Marcus beside her. Folder in hand. I opened the door before they knocked. Dad, can we talk? She said, voice small but not sorry small. Just negotiation small. Depends, I said. About what? Marcus stepped forward with his best. I'm reasonable. Face. We don't want this to get ugly, David. Let's just settle this. I cocked my head. You filed. And I'm the one making it ugly? It was an emotional situation. He said. You hit me. I deserved compensation. But I don't want to drag this through court. What's your number? I asked. He flipped the paper around. 2,000. That covers medical and emotional damage. I looked at him for a long time. Then at her. She wouldn't meet my eyes. You two rehearse this. I said. I'm trying to handle it like an adult. He said. You pay, we withdraw. Clean. I nodded. All right. Emily blinked. Really? Sure, I said. Give me a second. I walked inside, grabbed an envelope of cash I keep for emergencies, walked back out. He reached for it. Right as his hand got close, I let it drop. It hit the porch. He had to bend down to pick it up. He signed his little withdrawal form, face hot, jaw tight. I took the signed paper. Good, I said. Now it's done. Then I looked at both of them. You wanted to treat me like a wallet? I said, voice calm. There's your withdrawal. I stepped closer to Marcus. You file anything again, show up here again, or say my name to anyone again, and I promise you the next thing you file won't be civil. He swallowed. Said nothing. Emily's eyes were wet now. Dad, you didn't have to. Oh, I had to, I said. You wanted independence. You got it. They walked to the car. I watched their taillights disappear. Then I closed my door, locked it, and sat down. Not shaking from rage. Shaking from finality. Because that was the night I wasn't Emily's safety net anymore. That was the night I became what she said I was. Not controlling. Not pathetic. Done. The house sold faster than I expected. Market was hot, buyers were hungry, and the price came in above asking. $255,000 cash. Patricia sent me the confirmation on a Tuesday. Congratulations, her email said. Closing in 30 days. Congratulations. Yeah. That's one word for it. I didn't even feel triumphant. Just numb. That kind of quiet that comes when you've been carrying something too long and finally set it down. I'd spent years keeping her world afloat. Now I was just watching gravity do what it does. I didn't tell her right away. The official notice came through the realtor's office. She'd know soon enough. I figured maybe that would be the wake-up call she needed, the moment she realized adulthood isn't a hashtag. But I underestimated Marcus. He didn't panic. He pivoted. 3 days after the notice, he posted a picture of them at brunch, smiling like nothing was wrong. Caption: Blessed to start our next chapter together. Fake smiles, empty plates, rented peace. I didn't comment. Didn't even look twice. Let them play pretend. But when Patricia called a week later, she sounded hesitant. David, Emily just called me, she said. She's upset. Says you're blindsiding her. I'm not, I said flatly. The deed was never transferred. I know, Patricia said gently. But she sounded lost. She'll find herself, I said and hung up. The silence after that was different. Not angry, not cold, just gone. For a month, I didn't hear a word. No calls, no texts, nothing. Then the sale finalized, and I got the wire confirmation. I stared at that number, $255,000, and thought about the last time she said, "Thank you." It was over a pizza on the floor of that house. When the 30-day mark hit, Patricia told me they'd moved out. No forwarding address, she said. Just left the keys in the mailbox. Perfect. I sat at my desk that night, opened a bottle of cheap whiskey, and toasted no one. To peace, I said. Even if it's quiet. Then I turned off my phone and slept for 12 straight hours. A month later, I got a text from my sister Carol. You heard from Emily? No, I typed back. And that's fine. What I didn't know was that, fine, was already falling apart. Word got around through an old neighbor who still lived near the Willow Street place. She told me Emily and Marcus had moved into some condo across town, rented, small, already arguing loud enough for the walls to hear. Apparently, once the sale closed, Marcus started showing his real self. Spending without working. Picking fights. Blaming Emily for losing the house. Your dad screwed us, he told her. No, she said. You screwed yourself. That's what I was told anyway. I didn't ask for the details. You spend years rescuing someone, you start recognizing the difference between a cry for help and the sound of someone learning the hard way. Then, about 2 months after the sale, I got an envelope. Not legal this time, personal. No return address. Inside, a single note. In her handwriting. I know you think I deserve this. And maybe I do. But I want you to know, I'm not okay. No signature. No phone number. Just that. I sat there staring at it for a long time. My first instinct was to pick up the phone, call, fix it, do what I've always done. But then I looked around my quiet house, the one that finally felt like mine again, and thought about what Carol said. Maybe she needs to make her own mistakes. So I didn't call. I folded the note, put it in a drawer, and left it there. It was 3 weeks later when I heard the knock. Slow, hesitant, late. Rain tapping the roof. I wasn't expecting anyone. When I opened the door, I froze. Emily. Hair-drenched, mascara-streaked, holding her phone like a lifeline. She looked small. Thinner. Hollow-eyed. Like someone who'd been crying for a week straight. "Papa," she whispered. That word hit me like a hammer. I hadn't heard it in a decade. For a second, I just stared. Then I stepped aside. "Come in." She walked past me, dripping on the floor, shivering. I grabbed a towel from the rack, handed it to her. She took it with shaking hands and sat on the edge of the couch like a stranger afraid to sit too long. "I didn't know where else to go," she said, voice breaking. "What happened?" I asked, still standing. She tried to speak, but her throat gave out. Then it all came out in bursts. "Marcus, he wasn't who I thought he was. He yelled all the time. He said you ruined everything. He told me I was useless." Her words fell apart in the middle, tangled in sobs. "When the house sold," she said, "he said you'd betrayed us. That you were trying to control me. And I believed him. God, I believed him." She wiped her face with the towel. "Then the money ran out. The car broke down. He started staying out all night. I found out he was seeing someone else, a girl from his gym. Her dad owns a dental chain. I didn't move. Didn't say, 'I told you so.' Didn't even sigh. I just listened. When I confronted him," she said, "he laughed. He said, 'Your dad's not here to bail you out anymore, princess.' Then he left." Silence. Rain against the window. I didn't know where else to go. She whispered again. I sat down across from her, elbows on my knees, voice calm. "So now you're here." She nodded. "I know I don't deserve it. I just needed to say I'm sorry." For a moment I saw her the way I used to, messy hair, tear-streaked face, scared of the dark. Only now, the dark was her own making. "Papa," she said softly, "you warned me, and I didn't listen." That word again. Papa. Like a key turning in a lock I thought was rusted shut. I didn't say anything right away. I just looked at her, this woman who used to be my world, and realized something. Life had already done the teaching I couldn't. She sat there hunched forward, eyes red, towel in her lap, twisting the corner of it between her fingers. The house was silent except for the faint ticking of the kitchen clock. I hadn't heard that sound in months. "I don't expect things to go back to how they were," she said finally, voice barely above a whisper. "I just wanted you to know that I know now. You weren't trying to control me. You were protecting me." I leaned back in the chair, arms crossed, staring at the floor. Part of me wanted to get up and hold her. The other part, the one that had been bled dry for years, stayed seated. "It took you this long to figure that out?" I said quietly. "I know," she said, tears filling her eyes again. "I hate myself for it." There was something honest in the way she said it. Not performative guilt, not the kind she used when she wanted something. This was the kind that sits in the gut and burns. I stood up, walked to the window, needing space to breathe. Outside, rain was sliding down the glass in crooked lines, and the reflection staring back at me looked tired, older than I remembered. Behind me, she said, "I don't want your money. I don't want anything. I just want you to know that I'm sorry, and I mean it." I turned slowly. "You're right," I said. "You are sorry." She blinked, unsure what I meant. "But that doesn't fix it," I added. "Sorry doesn't erase what you said to me, or the way you looked at me like I was something you needed to escape." "I know," she said, her voice cracking. "I'm not saying that to punish you," I said. "I'm saying it because you need to understand something about forgiveness. It's not words. It's trust. And right now, I don't trust you." She covered her face with her hands, shaking. "Then what do I do?" she whispered. You start over, I said. On your own. Her hands dropped. You mean you're cutting me off completely? I already did, I said evenly. That night, when you said you didn't need me. I took your word for it. She stared at me like she was seeing me for the first time. I didn't mean it, she said weakly. Then you should have thought about that before you said it, I replied. You can't throw words like knives and expect people to forget where they hit. She wiped her eyes. So you're just done with me? No, I said, sitting down across from her again. I'll always be your father. That doesn't change. But love doesn't mean I keep rescuing you from yourself. You said you wanted to live your own life. Then live it. She started to speak, but I raised a hand gently. You don't get to come here every time the world kicks you and expect me to fix it. You want to prove you've changed? Do it without my money, without my name. That's what being an adult means. Her lower lip trembled. I just want my dad back, she said, and for the first time in a long time, her voice sounded like my little girl's again. I swallowed hard. I'm still here, I said quietly. But not the same way. You burned the bridge, Emily. You can rebuild it if you want, but you're the one who has to do the work. She nodded, crying openly now, the towel clutched in her hands like it was the only thing keeping her steady. We sat like that for a while. No more lectures, no shouting, just the sound of her breathing between sobs and the rain softening outside. Finally, I stood up. Come on, I said. She looked up, startled. You're sending me away? I'm letting you go, I corrected. I walked her to the door. The air outside was cold and smelled like wet asphalt. I grabbed another towel and handed it to her. You'll catch a cold, I muttered. She gave a faint, broken laugh. You still worry about me. Worry doesn't stop overnight, I said. She hesitated in the doorway. Papa, she said softly, I'll make things right. Even if it takes years. Then start now, I said. She nodded, tears mixing with the rain. I love you. I know, I said. I always will. She turned, walked down the steps, and disappeared into the night. I stood there watching until her car's taillights faded into the distance. When I finally closed the door, the house felt emptier than it had in years, but lighter too. The kind of empty that leaves room for air again. Cutting her off wasn't revenge. It was survival. Because sometimes being a parent isn't about holding on. It's about teaching them that the world won't hand them grace for free. The next few months were quiet. Not the kind of quiet that makes you lonely, the kind that finally lets your pulse slow down. I threw myself into simple things. Therapy every Wednesday. Coffee with an old buddy from the plant on Fridays. Saturday mornings fixing the old shed behind the house that had been sagging since Sarah was alive. My hands started to remember what honest work felt like again, the kind that ends when the sun goes down, not when someone stops needing you. Sometimes, though, I'd catch myself glancing at my phone, half expecting her name to pop up. It didn't, at least not right away. But then one afternoon, I came home to find a small paper bag on my porch. Inside were groceries, bread, soup cans, and a note. In her handwriting. I figured you could use a home-cooked meal. Don't worry, I'm not asking for anything. No signature. Just that. A week later, another bag. This time with stew in a glass container and a short message. Made too much. Thought you might like some. She was keeping her distance, and for once, I didn't chase the space. I just let it be. By early spring, she texted me for the first time in months. Hope you're doing okay, Dad. Started working at a new clinic. It's small, but I like it. I replied hours later. I'm glad. Keep going. That was it. 2 messages. No fireworks. No flood of emotion. Just progress, hers, mine. Over time, the updates kept coming. Sparse, short, but steady. Got my own place. Fixed my car myself this time. The new job's good. I'm learning a lot. Each one was a thread, thin, fragile, but real. Sometimes I'd see her parked across the street, sitting in her car for a minute before driving away. Once, I caught her leaving another bag, this time with my favorite coffee beans. She didn't ring the bell. She just left it and went. I never mentioned it when she did text. I figured that was her way of saying what words still couldn't. Then one afternoon, I was out front pruning the hedges when a familiar car slowed down by the curb. Emily got out, no makeup, hair tied back, dressed like someone who didn't need to prove anything anymore. "Hey, Papa," she said softly. I looked at her, really looked. For the first time in years, she didn't look lost. She looked steady. "Hey," I said. She held out a small envelope. "It's not much," she said, smiling shyly. "Just something I wanted to do." Inside was a check, 1 month's rent's worth, maybe 2. And a note that said, "For the things I took for granted." I folded the check back into the envelope and handed it to her. "Keep it," I said. "Use it to build, not repay." She smiled, and for the first time in what felt like forever, it reached her eyes. We stood there for a while, just the two of us, no big speeches, no apologies left to dissect. The sun was setting, light catching her face the same way it used to catch Sarah's. And for a brief second, it felt like both of them were right there, the woman I'd loved and the daughter I'd almost lost. When she left that day, I didn't feel empty. I felt balanced. Not fixed, not perfect, just finally at peace with the way things had unfolded. Emily was learning how to stand. And I was learning how to let her. Because maybe that's what being a parent really means. Not protecting them forever, just long enough for them to protect themselves. Spring turned to summer, and for the first time in 15 years, my days belonged entirely to me. No emergency calls. No late-night rescues. No one depending on my patience like it was an endless resource. The house felt different, but not empty, more like it was breathing again. I'd wake up early, make coffee, sit on the porch, and watch the world move without me having to push it. Every so often, I'd get a text from Emily. Nothing dramatic, just pieces of her new life. "Got promoted to lead dentist today. Took Mom's old recipe and made dinner for a friend. Started therapy. It's helping." Each one came like a quiet proof of life, that she was still moving forward, just without leaning on me. One afternoon, I got a letter in the mail. No return address, but I knew the handwriting instantly. Inside was a single-page note and a photo. The note said, "Papa, I finally paid off my student loans. I did it myself this time. You were right, I needed to learn the hard way. I'll never be able to repay everything you gave me, but I can spend the rest of my life earning the kind of peace you taught me to chase. Love, Emily." The photo was of her standing outside a small clinic, her name on the window this time, not anyone else's. Carter Dental Care. I sat at the kitchen table for a long time, looking at that picture. I thought about all the years I'd spent trying to keep her from breaking, and how, in the end, the breaking was what made her whole. I didn't cry. Not this time. I just smiled and whispered, "Good for you, kid." Then I pinned the photo to the corkboard above my desk, right next to the old one of her graduation day. 2 snapshots, years apart, but telling the same story. She made it. And somehow so did I. Every Sunday, I still drive by the old lake where Sarah and I used to take Emily when she was little. I park, roll down the window, and let the sound of the water fill the truck. Sometimes I talk out loud, not to anyone specific, just to the quiet. I tell Sarah about Emily's new life, her clinic, how she's finally standing on her own 2 feet. I tell her I did my best. And in the stillness, I swear I can almost hear her voice again. "You did good, David. You can rest now." It's strange how peace doesn't arrive with fanfare. It shows up slowly, in clean dishes, in mornings without dread, in a daughter learning to love herself the way her father always did. Emily and I still talk, but there's space now, the kind that doesn't hurt. Every now and then, she'll stop by with coffee, and we'll sit on the porch without filling the silence. She'll talk about patience, I'll talk about the garden, and the sun will set like it always does, quiet, steady enough. She once said, "Papa, I don't deserve your love." And I told her, "You never had to. It was never something you earned. It was something you learned from." I don't know if forgiveness ever truly ends, or if it just softens over time. But I do know this: peace isn't something you find in others. It's what's left when you stop trying to fix everyone else and finally start fixing yourself. And that's what I did. That's what we both did. In the end, she found her strength, and I found my silence. And maybe, just maybe, that's what love looks like when you finally let it grow up.